Alright, no time for introductions today. I got thrown in the car before I could film anything from the outside, but we're in a familiar place. This is the 600LT demo that we've been in before from McLaren Beverly Hills. I'm joining them on a little drive from the showroom all the way up to Santa Barbara, my hometown. I'm gonna get some lunch there and then head on back down. It's kind of reminiscent of the whole Monterey Car Week drive. We just turned on to the Canyon Road bit that we're doing, connecting PCH to the 101. So this should be the more interesting bit of driving. So I have been on this road before, and it was a little dicey last time. Maybe that was because it was soon after rain and there was a lot of debris. I can't quite remember. I'm hoping that was it. But anyway, after we're done with this particular road, at least there's some others that I've been on before that are very fun, that I know pretty well. I'm following behind one of the salespeople. We're in a group of about 6 other McLarens. Right now it looks to be a couple 600LTs, a couple 720s, and a couple 570s. Pretty nice distribution of models. Oh, and a 12C is behind me. Spectacle to see as you're driving down the road in the other direction. Okay, yeah, this is actually way nicer than last time I was here. Also, apparently more crowded, and there are more cars right up ahead, and bicyclists and all that, so, but it's at least a little bit more exciting than I was able to drive it last time around within the city itself. Maybe get to put to use some of the grip on the tires, some of the acceleration, as we get caught behind an SUV Suburban with a Civic behind it. There we go, Canyon Drives, boys, let's do it. This is very nice. It must have just either been repaved or had a bunch of rocks on it last time I was on here, but I remember being super intimidated in the Ford GT on this. And this car, though, a lot smaller, much easier to place on the road. The Ford GT is an extremely wide-feeling car, so it's not like many of the others I've driven in that respect. But this, very good visibility. It's sort of like a little miniature version of the 720 in that open cabin sort of feel. You have very good visibility like you would in the GT3 RS, for example, though you're much lower to the ground. Not much that we can do about the performance factor right now, but I'm hoping in a few moments we'll be good. Not many places to pull over on this road, I guess, but it doesn't seem like this person's feeling super duper interested in letting us go by. That's fine. The car's comfortable. We can talk about the comfort features for the time being while we're going slowly. Beautiful scenery as well. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get a little bit of grip here. I mean, the Trofeo R's are Trofeo R's are really great tires. The grippiness is insane. I think they're a little bit more than the Cup 2 in grip levels, but they don't last quite as long, which is the only downside. So, you know, once you hit up a track day or two, if you're really pushing it, you may have to replace those things. But man, when I had those on the 675LT, the grip feels just unreal. And this thing it's smooth to accelerate. It doesn't feel like you're wanting for any power going up the hills. Lost the red Civic. Might have gone another direction, so I think we might be in the clear, fortunately. So just follow on a nice little cruise here. Here we go. Man, the paving on these is fantastic. Ooh, that was a massive rock kick. I think we're good. Not done. There we go. Now we're cooking. Solid, easy to place on the road. The seats, I feel like they have less padding than the center seats, almost. Last time I sat in center seats, it felt like very comfortable. And granted, I've owned a car, the 675 had these buckets in them. I look forward to having the Sennas, because they were very, not only do they look nice, but super comfortable to boot, which you wouldn't expect off of a seat that looks like it does. magnificent. I know exactly where it's going to land on the road. The feel is great. It doesn't need to be any softer, any more stiff. It just feels exactly as it should be. I don't know what it is about McLaren steering wheels, but they always feel very small. It might be because the rim of them is, I guess, a little bit less thick, but me, with my small hands, it always feels nice. I'm glad I positioned everything in the passenger seat nice enough so that it's not flying all over the cabin. See, the benefit of having bucket seats, not so much to keep you in place, but you can keep some of your own stuff in place that you throw in the passenger seat. We got a nice little group of Porsches up here. Looking pretty cool. This is a pretty common driving road for people to go on, especially on a Sunday morning, which is what it is right now. I'm assuming we're gonna step aside and maybe take a picture or something in this area. This is a cool lookout point. Car's looking beautiful. So far so good. Haven't been able to push it crazy hard yet, but happy with how it's performing. Tires grip incredibly well, always happy with that. Smooth on the power, all the feel is great, and yeah, I guess we'll be continuing along down here. Another road that I have driven before, another nice one of the few that's still open after all the rain and the fire and everything like that, and continue along to Santa Barbara. Alrighty, start her up, continue on down the hill. I hope everyone's in track mode. Alright, we should have a pretty clear road. No one's gone down other than a bicyclist who is cooking it. Bicyclist, biker who is cooking it like a couple minutes ago. It's a nice road. This is a fun one. I usually end up coming in the uphill direction, so you can break into turns a little bit later than you would otherwise because gravity is helping you out there, but even so, heading down is fun. Car feels super solid. I have it in sport right now for powertrain and suspension, which is also what I was driving the 720 in the other week. It seems to be a good combination to go with. Gives you a little bit stiffer suspension, allows you to feel like, you know, a little bit more racy while also still having a little bit of play. This thing has no shortage of power. You might think, oh, the 720 has whatever, 712 horsepower it is, 720 PS, and this thing only has 590, but it's a slightly lighter car, so that makes up for some of it. It just feels very nimble. When you get to the LT versions of the cars, they just have these little changes to the suspension and the throttle response that make them feel a lot lighter, more nimble, faster, maybe than they actually are even. I'm sure that a standard 720 will cook one of these things in a drag race, but I would argue that this, in comparison to the 720 that I just drove a couple of weeks ago, feels a lot more engaging. You have more fun driving it. You feel a little more numb in the 720. You're like, how did I just end up getting to 150 miles an hour when I wasn't even trying? I don't feel anything. It's bizarre, which I guess is a good thing, but I also sort of prefer to feel like I'm a little bit more engaged with the car, even if that actually ends up meaning you're not accelerating as quickly. It makes for potentially a more fun driving experience. I've talked to someone who actually preferred their 675 LT over a 720 that they currently have because they said that the 675 was just a much more engaging car to drive, and I feel that. I've never owned a non-LT McLaren, so I can't fully comment on the day-to-day experience, but just between having driven a 720 on the track, 720 just a couple weeks ago, a 570 on the track, you can really feel the difference between the LTs and the standard cars when it comes to how engaging they are. You just feel like you're doing more, and it's a little bit more rewarding of an experience. Alright, well, we made it down that stretch. Now we're at Mulholland, which I think runs into a few closures along the way, along the usual driving route, so there's probably not much more to get out of this road right here. But in any case, I mean, you just feel so comfortable driving this car. Alright, here we go. My girlfriend. back into normal mode for both powertrain and handling, and then you get more of a cushy ride now that we're done with the more sporty parts of things and we're heading back to the freeway. So it's, even though it is the LT and the track-oriented version, it's very compliant. It feels nice. Same could be said for my 675, sure. Although I think that had an even lower front splitter on it than this did, so that was a bit scary, having to take it into anywhere that had any sort of incline whatsoever. Here we go. Man, that boost kicks on and you just go. It's insane. It also doesn't seem to eat through gas in a terrible fashion. All that sort of spirited driving, and we're only down what looks to be about like 10% of a tank. I'll tell you, the 4GT would have been down like half a tank by now, just from like leaving the showroom to getting here. Wave to the police. Nothing but speed limit obeying going on here in this convoy. This is part of the area where the fire was back in November, and it's really nice to see that the greenery is really coming back in full force. It's been interesting driving through these areas since, like, from November until now, and kind of seeing the evolution of things growing back. You can kind of see off to the left right now. You can see it's still a little bit brown and burned, but you got those areas of green that are poking through. You got like a super bloom going on in Southern California right now, and I keep seeing pictures of poppies. They've had to close down these poppy fields because so many people have gone, and it's like starting to impact the growth itself. People trampling the flowers. After all this rain, I guess we're having some nice growth. The state is pretty much all out of drought too, which is pretty incredible after so many years. Anyway, you don't really want to hear about that stuff, do you? I'm just trying to kill time because I can't really do much testing out the capabilities of the car right now. Anyway, I guess what else could I talk about? The interior, because roadkill. The interior is, I mean, it's familiar. It looks very McLaren. You don't have the folding dash thing that you do in the 720. Unfortunately, if you go to the track, you're not going to be able to, you know, only look at your gear and your revs. Sadly, you have to look at other information that's irrelevant at that time. It really looks like it has a karaoke microphone right here above the vents. I don't remember what it's for exactly. I think it's part of the speaker system, but anyway, I do think that McLaren should consider adding a karaoke feature to their cars. I think they'd sell a lot more. I think there's a demographic that they're really missing out on. It's not got much in the way of storage space, no glove compartment. There are little pouches that are at the front of each seat. I suppose that when I get mine, that's where I'm going to be putting my license and registration, insurance, and all that stuff. You store the books in the front of the car, I suppose. I guess it was the same way with the 675 and the 4GT and the Pista to come. Nobody needs glove compartments anymore. Not when you have a race car. That's extra weight. You can't have those books in that compartment. That's got to slow you down by like half a second when you're accelerating 0 to 60. Climate control works really nicely. I've had it on just ever so slightly here. Your little climate control screen shows a guy that has a helmet on. So when the air is blowing at you, it's a little bit risky to have your head exposed. You have some pretty serious gusts of AC in here, and you should wear a helmet. Anything else? Prefer the center seats, I think, to these buckets. The buckets, I mean, they certainly keep you in place, but I think from a comfort perspective and from a coolness perspective, you're going to enjoy the Senna a little bit more, even though it's a little bit extra. But, you know, you can get these buckets in the standard cars, so why not do something that's limited only to the LT variant? I think that's the way to go, personally. All right, well, you know what? I think that about concludes our drive for the day. We're quickly approaching the end of the Canyon driving section. Next bit's going to be basically all freeway, so not going to be quite as interesting to watch. So we'll wind it down there, but still happy, still looking forward to getting the car. Just another couple of months to wait. Hopefully that's all. Hopefully it stays on schedule with what I was last told, fingers crossed. And then we'll be able to get some real open roads, hopefully get out to the track, and push things a little bit harder. So, should be pretty sweet. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it, and always nice of McLaren Beverly Hills to allow driving their demo, especially on a long trip like this. There we go, one last